But it's time for the Can One Woke Teen Survive 20 Trump Supporters, the Jubilee video. I've been seeing a lot of the clips from this.
Would be better than Trump. The first category is character.
Speaking of which, you know, if we're bringing up stuff from the past, we can say she slept with Willie Brown, broke up a family just to get her job. And
she got 4.5 million votes to get into AG and DA and slept with 0 of them.
You don't know
How
that,
do you feel
though.
about Donald
Do you know
Trump?
that? No.
Okay,
absolutely
so
not.
you think that she slept with 4.5 million people to get in her position of power?
But the one
Wait,
person that
are
she
you
did
serious?
was the most important person.
Did you just say that she had to sleep with 4.5 million?
No.
My name is Dean Withers. I'm a 19-year-old liberal. I do political debate for a living, and today I'm surrounded by 20 Trump supporters. My first claim is Donald Trump is a racist.
Yeah, so I don't understand how people get this idea that Trump is racist. You know, my family came from a communist country. They came from Cuba, and they came from Mexico. So I don't see anything or any statement that he's ever made that's racist. I mean, there's accusations, but there's no facts behind it.
Yeah.
And this whole idea that all
Speak to it,
Hispanics
King.
are illegal immigrants and they came here and
This, for the record, that guy in the blue suit has a record of stalking. Isn't he also like a Republican operative? Am I crazy?
documented is not true because my family came here on both sides through the legal immigration process, not illegally here.
Okay, so that was a bold claim. You just said that, you know, there's no facts to substantiate the idea that Donald Trump is going to be a racist. So in the 1970s, there's civil litigation held against him by the DOJ of the state of New York for literally not renting to black people. What they did is they'd send in quote-unquote testers to his rental properties at the time. They'd send in a white person. The white person would ask the property manager if they had any available properties to rent. They'd say, yes, here we go, here's a housing application. Then they'd send in a black tester that asked the same question, and then they'd actually be denied. When this was investigated by the DOJ, the property manager told them that this was just a quote-unquote order from the higher-up, from this boss, from Donald Trump. And then they investigated Donald Trump, brought civil litigation against him, and they essentially determined that, yeah, he wasn't renting to black people, in which he then had to promise the DOJ that he was no longer going to racially profile in his housing application, and even had to put ads in the New York newspaper at the time,
So basically,
saying that he'd rent to black people.
So what you're saying is basically he's not renting to black people, but yet he employs a lot of minorities. He employs a lot of blacks, Asians, Hispanics onto his staff. So why wouldn't he be renting to black people? That doesn't make any sense. Also,
because it's an example of racism.
But also is an example that the Department of Justice is weaponized against people that do something in life.
Can you give me any evidence for that?
I'll give you evidence of that. Yes, I will, because Trump was political for a very long time. He made political statements. He was very unpopular with a lot of Democrats. He would say things that they didn't like, and they would go after him. They would weaponize the Department of Justice,
Wait, but that's
just like they are right now. They're weaponizing the Department of Justice against him. They're using the government for their political power to go against him because they disagree with his political opinion. That's what they do. The Democrats have been going after him for years, even considering he used to be a registered Democrat. So I don't believe that Trump is racist whatsoever. I don't see that because I see his employees. I've been to a lot of his properties in the past, and I know that he hires a lot of minorities. So I don't believe that to be true.
Okay, so your claim here is that, well, he actually didn't do what the DOJ accused him and held him liable for doing.
Yeah, but the DOJ says a lot of things that doesn't make it true.
If I finish real quick? So you're saying that the DOJ actually was unfairly persecuting Donald Trump, a political opponent. In the 70s, he wasn't running for any public office, so I don't know why you'd say that was a political opponent. But maybe we could look at a more intuitive example.
Well, he's made political statements in the 70s as well.
Okay,
so,
okay. So your claim is that, yeah, the DOJ was unfairly persecuting him. Do you have any evidence of that?
If you go back, do you have any evidence why the DOJ was investigating him in the first place?
Yeah, because they had gotten...
No, there's no evidence.
Yeah,
I mean, the DOJ has been an illegitimate
Okay.
organization for a very long time.
Okay.
So they make a lot of statements, but it doesn't mean that they're going to actually go through with anything. Nothing really happened at the end of the day. It was just a witch hunt at the end of the day.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't think you'd have any evidence for the claim that it was a witch hunt. I think that at the end of the day, this is a conspiracy theory. I think that Donald Trump
Conspiracy theory.
Mind if I finish real quick? Thanks. So I think that at the end of the day, this is going to be a conspiracy theory. I think that the DOJ does this. That Donald Trump would perpetuate a lot of conspiracy theories. He did this with the outcome of the 2020 election. But let's look at another example that's not coming from like the DOJ or like the criminal justice system. And we're like referencing like 2012 through 2014. Donald Trump said that because Barack Obama is black, he's obviously not a U.S.-born citizen. So therefore, he
did not say that he was black. He's not a U.S.-born citizen.
Well, let's talk about the birther movement, right? So I just have a quick question. Would you say trying to take
there was legitimacy questioning his.
Oh, damn, dude. So when they put up the flags that, for those of you who don't remember the rules, if they put up 11 flags, then he has to get swapped out.
Birth certificate.
Questioning his birth certificate. What's the legitimacy there?
Questioning because his family came from Kenya. How is he running for president?
Wait, Donald Trump's mother's a Scottish immigrant. Should we question his birth certificate?
They came here through the legal process. He didn't come here through the legal process.
Wait, so you're saying that Obama's parents were undocumented migrants? One second, I just want to clarify this.
Disqualified him as president.
I just want to answer a question.
Which would have disqualified.
I want to ask you a question.
Sheriff Gerard Pyle, who I'm friends with, Sheriff Gerard Pyle, who I'm friends with, looked into the claims of that birth certificate, and there was questions of whether it was falsified.
Wait,
so
you
forgery.
actually believe that?
Yes, I do believe that.
Okay, so you were racist
yes,
just like Donald Trump.
I'm not racist. Wow, you're calling a Hispanic and a Cuban racist.
You might have.
Oh my God, my man thought he deployed that shit.
Mind if I take 30 seconds here? All right. So first of all, yes.
Another white liberal. All right.
All right. Want to start where you guys left off?
Yeah, I think that hopefully we could slow things down a little bit here, have some productive conversation. So, how about I just start off by giving you my reasons why I think that Donald Trump is racist. So, with the last guy, we kind of touched on the civil litigation that was held against him in the 1970s for not renting to black people. But I want to focus upon a more intuitive example, proponing the idea that Barack Obama was not a U.S.-born citizen. So first, I just want to ask you a very simple question. Would you say trying to take away opportunity from a black man because he's black is racism?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, yes, I do believe that.
Okay.
But I think we also have to look into what the administration when he was in office did, not what happened back in 1970 when he wasn't even in office. It was a complete different administration making the rules.
Okay.
When he was in office, he gave opportunity zones, gave funding to HBCUs. He also implemented the First Step Act, which I feel like liberals really focus on,
Every administration has funded HBCUs. And I don't remember the exact details, but the Trump administration's HBCU funding wasn't exactly great either.
Prison system has a majority of African Americans in there, so we gave them an opportunity to get out early, to start a new life. So I think if we're going to go back and look at some stuff of the 1970s, that's not really fair, because there's a lot of people on the Democrat side that have done worse things while in office. Joe Biden, who, when he was a senator, pushed to get African Americans incarcerated at a higher rate. Actions speak louder than words at the end of the day. And what Trump did in office helped the black community at an exponential amount compared to all the other administrations on the Democratic Party.
Okay, so you're saying what he did in office helped African Americans more than other administrations?
Yeah.
You referenced historically black universities.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how much funding he sent to HBCUs?
A decent amount. I can't give you the exact
So the
numbers.
exact amount was $250 million per year.
Okay.
Do you know how much Obama's administration and Biden's administration have sent?
I would like to hear.
Obama sent $1 billion a year, and Biden sent $4 billion a year. So not only did he decrease funding to historically black universities, all right, but also you referenced the First Step Act there. How did Donald Trump influence the First Step Act to get passed?
Through Congress.
Well, how did he influence that bill through Congress?
Answer that question for me.
Because he didn't influence it. In fact, it was proposed to Congress under Obama's administration, and it was shot down. Then something else I did want to
But at the end of the day, as president, he has the ability to sign or send a bill back to Congress, and he signed it. If he was truly racist, he would not have signed it in the first place.
Okay, but
at the end of the day, he still signed it, and he has that ability. Just like every president before, if they don't like a bill, they have the ability to send it right back to Congress, and there's congressional means to get it passed without the president's approval. But still, he signed it. If he's really a racist, why did he sign it in the first place?
Yeah, well, I don't think that we could just ignore Trump saying that Obama isn't a U.S.-born citizen and he's probably from Kenya, right? I don't think that we could ignore.
But here's the
do you
thing.
mind if I finish here, sir?
Okay, go ahead.
I don't think that we could ignore the civil litigation against him in the 1970s for not renting to black people. I don't think we could ignore his recent comments about Kamala Harris saying that she turned black, implying that she wasn't black prior, just because he signed the First Step Act into law. I understand that does do something for the African-American community, but I don't think we could say because he did this one thing that all of these other examples are null and void. You also referenced Joe Biden there. I have no problem saying that Joe Biden has a racist past. And in fact, I think that's something I need to recognize and we should all recognize. But what I can't stand is when I hear people denying Trump's racism, saying it never occurred when it's so obvious.
But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to explain right now is that Biden has signed bills into law, voted for them, that hurt the community. Trump has not done anything to that extent. Sure, he says some things were maybe a little bit iffy way back. You're citing things from back in the 1970s that did not even have that he couldn't even sign a law or anything like that because he wasn't even in office.
Okay. I guess where I want to start with is looking at the actual word racist. I think nowadays it's a word that people throw around kind of like the word love. It is a very powerful word. It has a lot of negative connotation. It has a lot of power that comes with it. When I think of racist, I think of Hitler, who murdered millions of Jews. When I think of racist, I think of the Ottoman Turks that murdered 1.5 million of my people. I think of that. I don't think of Trump, who maybe he said things in the past, this or that. If we want to go about talking about saying things, Biden said Obama is one of the first mainstream blacks to be bright and intelligent. He said that you can only walk into a 7-Eleven if you have an Indian accent. He has said that if you vote for Trump over him, you're not black. He said so many of these things in his past, and the prompt is talking about, is Trump racist? But to me, it's not about that because of how the media has displayed racism. They just focus on Trump, and it is about both sides. They don't touch upon Biden. They don't talk about Biden. And when you look at his policies, like my friend mentioned, if Trump was a racist, he would not be passing policies. He wouldn't even give $1 to these black universities. If he truly had this, it's an intention of the heart. And I'll go out and I'll step out and say, I'm sure everybody here has said something racist in their life. That doesn't make you a racist. It's kind of like if you weigh 400 pounds and you eat celery, you're not skinny. All these examples that you're talking about are from years and years ago. What has he done that's racist in the last maybe 5-10 years?
10 years ago, 2014, Trump was actively proponing Barack Obama's birther myth, the idea that he was not born in
But
the
you already
US.
said that example. Give me something new, because that's...
Okay, fine. Yeah, sure. I mean, you're asking for some of the last 5 to 10 years. That was 10 years ago. I thought that I'd just go over that again.
Okay.
Another reason why I wanted to go over that again with you is because how intuitively racist it is, right? Denying or saying that a black man should have less opportunity because of the color of his skin is very obviously racist.
When did he make that comment?
Yeah, so the whole birther myth with Barack Obama, right, essentially hoped to achieve that he wasn't born in the U.S., he was born in Kenya.
One of my favorite ones is when he said that a Mexican-American judge, like an American judge of Mexican descent, could not adequately legislate or could not adequately adjudicate over his court proceedings because he was Mexican. Donald Trump's racism is such a target-rich environment, you know?
Yeah, and because he's not a U.S.-born citizen, he shouldn't have the opportunity to run for U.S. president. The only reason he said that is because of the color of Barack Obama's skin.
But has
he
explicitly said he said that specifically because he's black, or are you just taking that assumption?
Okay, so what else? What explanation do we have here?
I've said everything I need to say. I'm waiting on you.
Okay, so I mean, well, yeah, I think that looking at Barack Obama, saying that he was born in Africa and then even denying his birth certificate from Hawaii, still like attributing his birth to Africa, I don't really see any other explanation apart from that, besides the fact that Barack Obama has black skin. And then another example
that's
from
also a comment. That wasn't a racist action. That was a comment.
Okay.
What action has he taken part in the last 5-10 years that have been racist against not even just blacks, against other races?
All right, first, I don't think that we should call like African Americans like blacks. I think that's a dehumanizing word. But
Okay.
second
That's
of all,
your opinion, but
okay, sorry. Second of all, right, even if we look at like the last month or two, I'd say that saying Kamala Harris, right, quote unquote, turned black, implying that she wasn't black prior, that's another racist comment. We could also reference that as
because
debate.
she plays with that. One day she's Indian, one day she's black.
That's not true.
Hello.
Howdy.
Very nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well.
So, you know, you're looking back at Donald Trump's history. One thing I do want to say, I don't know if you are aware, Palm Beach didn't used to let African Americans there. Donald Trump sued the city of Palm Beach to allow black membership at Mar-a-Lago. That is not racist. I think one of the problems that we have a lot on the left, every time there's a disagreement, we get thrown, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're this, you're that. And it dissolves the discussions that we should be having on policies. Secondly, Donald Trump worked with Senator Scott to create opportunity zones in black communities. If he was truly a racist, it's not something that he would do. So I think the whole premise is he's a racist, he's a sexist, takes away from policy positions that we should be discussing. If we go to the border and we talk about rapists and murderers, yeah, they are happening. Laken Riley is now dead. We have 300,000 missing migrant children known sold into the sex trade, per the last IG report. These are important issues. Our economy is important issues.
You mind if I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Are you a U.S.-born citizen?
100%.
You're statistically speaking 4 times more likely to commit a violent crime than an undocumented migrant. So when you kind
They
of
shouldn't
virtue
be
signal
here.
on behalf of that.
They shouldn't be here.
Okay. All right.
And my husband's an immigrant,
Okay, yeah, but
a
then
legal
also,
immigrant.
Wait,
okay,
Came here legally.
Okay, I understand that
We've
you
got
wanna-
100 ISIS in our country right now that was reported. We've got gotaways. We've got Tende Deragua. I've interviewed Oscar Blue, who's been through the Darien Gap 4 times. People are dying.
okay, so you're saying that we have a crisis at the southern border.
Well, I'm saying that you're saying that
Yeah.
Donald Trump is racist. Donald Trump loves America.
Okay, well, first of all,
And
I
he
want
puts
to
Americans first.
I want to ask you one simple question first, and maybe we could get back to the prompt. Do you think that we have a crisis at the southern border today?
100%.
So you'd say that we also had a crisis at the southern border at the end of Trump's term because we have the same amount of
Actually,
daily
we have the
crossings
low.
today than then?
No, we do not have.
Yes,
the
we
same
have
amount of
about
crossings.
2,400 crossings
no, that is
today
not true.
than as we
That
had
is
at the
not
end of
true. We
Trump's
have
term
up to
after Biden's executive order.
14,000 crossings a day. The Biden-Harris administration put us back into what's called the Global Compact of Migration. They are now using an app where they use our refugee resettlement program to fly people into our country to different states. So for you to say that the Trump administration that did not have catch and release, that is not, and Biden put it back in. And then we also had remain in Mexico, which on day 1 of Biden's administration.
it's just racism, mental illness. I mean, yeah, that's like 90% of right-wing commentary. Most of what holds the Republican right together is just that.
Wiped out.
Because it was ineffective. I mean, we can
Oh,
look
it
at,
was very
do
effective.
you mind if I talk real quick?
It's just propaganda. It's what you've heard from CNN and MSNBC.
Actually, how about I provide you a source that isn't CNN, isn't MSNBC, and it's actually a source.
Yeah, by the way, she's talking about illegal immigration being a problem, but her examples are of legal immigration, which includes her husband, which is why a lot of these people play fast and loose with the truth. For her, she does not understand the fundamental reality that the difference between a legal immigrant and an illegal immigrant is just paperwork. And the difference between her and a legal or illegal immigrant is simply the amount of time that she has spent on U.S. soil. That's usually the difference. Because at a certain point, her family members came not from America. This is precisely the reason why it is hilarious and also openly racist whenever Republicans will be like, I don't care that they're legally here. It's because Kamala waved the wand. That's what J.D. Vance said.
Source from Donald Trump's rally. So remember when Donald Trump got shot in his ear? What did he have behind him?
It was the chart that showed the lowest crossings in history.
Do you mind if I talk about that chart?
I
So
have the chart. Should we bring it out?
You have the chart with you?
Yeah, I do.
Bring the chart out.
Can you hand me my purse, someone?
Like you have an actual picture of the chart?
I do.
Phenomenal. Let's look at the chart. She is prepared. This is great.
By the way, this entire time she's been like saying some of the most insane, unhinged shit. Only 2 people have raised a red flag.
Oh, it's on your phone. I thought that you had like an
Well,
actual.
it's a picture. We can hold it up to the camera if they want to see it.
Okay, well, I mean, well, maybe we could just reference the data on that chart. So you're referencing the Remain in Mexico policy. So that was one of Donald Trump's day ones. He only had increasing border numbers until the day he signed Title 42 into effect. Year by year, they only increase.
Is
the
that
Remain
why
in Mexico policy, the wall, it was all incredibly ineffective border legislation. He couldn't get Congress together to pass anything, so then he had to reappropriate
That's
DOD
not
funds
true.
to build the wall.
That's not true. Congress passed H.R. 2. It's been sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk since May of 2023. It was the one bill that would secure the border. Border Patrol has endorsed President Trump. Law enforcement has endorsed President Trump.
Okay.
The Biden administration and the Harris administration have failed this nation, and they have allowed this invasion of our country, and Americans are dying. And sorry, these gang members should not be here.
I have a question. So what do you say if we had an undocumented migrant that was like a felon?
So here's the situation. Here's the problem also. It takes no effort to just tell a lie, but an untold amount of effort, countless hours to tell the truth. Correcting the record in these situations is going to be quite difficult to engage with, especially in a quick manner. It's always a very difficult task, which is, you know, part of the problem here as well.
A sexual abuser, right, a violent offender, that they shouldn't be allowed in the country?
100%. None of these people should be without process.
Okay, so my question to you would be, well, then why do you want a criminal, felon, sexual abuser to run the country?
Because I believe that we're suffering from an extreme case of lawfare, which I can...
Bro, she was way too quick in retaliating to that. I think he did a good job with that line. That was a bar. But she literally didn't even flinch, dude.
And, you know, when you look at, let's take, for instance, the New York case, the one that he's going to probably go to jail for, even though he's not guilty.
The 34 felonies?
The 34 felonies that they changed the statute of limitations in order to prosecute him.
Oh,
that they
no,
changed.
your case is confused. So they didn't change any statute of limitations?
Oh, yes, they did.
1 second.
Oh, yes,
I know what
they
you're
did.
referencing. If you'll just allow me.
Oh, yes, they did.
You'll just allow me.
But
30
not
seconds.
only
Do you mind if I
that-
just have 30 seconds? Real quick?
Well, we only have 40 seconds left.
I just
so
want
no,
to clarify.
You can't have
They didn't
30
change.
seconds. You've got the seat the whole time.
Okay, we have 35 seconds left. What were his felonies for?
Okay, so let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the plain and simple fact that they moved the number 3 from Biden's DOJ to a state case. Let's talk about the fact that Mark Pomerantz, who worked in the Biden administration, basically pled the fifth 6 times when he said that he was talking to Bragg. And he would not talk about that. Alvin Bragg ran on getting Trump. Let's talk about Judge Merchant's daughter, Laura, who's making millions for the Harris administration and the Biden administration right now in order to prosecute Trump. That is recusal. It's going to get dropped at the Supreme Court. Alvin Bragg should have recused himself. Judge Merchant should have recused himself.
I like your power. My next claim is Donald Trump doesn't care about the American people.
I completely disagree with you on that. That Trump doesn't, you're saying he doesn't care about the American people. I mean, while he was president, he was pushing pro-economic policies, which were furthering the American economy. I mean, right now, if you go to a gas station, you're paying more money to fill up your car. Going to the grocery store, you're paying more for meat, you're paying more for groceries, you're paying more for a lot of things. Taxes are higher right now. So
Wait,
why
taxes are higher right now? We're still under Donald Trump's tax code.
we're not completely, no, that's not true. That's not true. Each individual state can impose their own taxes.
Federal taxes from the
I'm going to
federal
give you an
federal
example.
tax
In
policy.
Los Angeles County, they passed all these other measures, increasing quarter-cent sales tax here in Los Angeles County.
That has nothing to do with like federal tax policy, man. What
The money, they misuse the money. They don't even use it to fix the streets. They allocate all this funding towards the homeless, billions of dollars, saying they're going to build all this, all these shelters. They're going to build public housing, and yet all the money goes to administrative costs. It goes into the pension system. So they're misusing the money. They're not using the money to actually help people. So if you think about someone that's going to help people, Democrats have been promising people in the state of California that they're going to do something about the problem. Yet they have unlimited power here to do whatever they want. But yet we have thousands of homeless. The LA Times reported that there was 66,000 more homeless.
By the way, Jubilee is on crack for having people like this on. Congressional candidates seeking to oust Maxine Waters ordered back to jail for violating restraining order because Omar Navarro threatened lives of Lorraine's cat and her grandmother. It's hard for any institution to find like normal Republicans who are going to defend Republican positions on camera.
7 years. That's the LA Times. That's a liberal magazine quoted. There's 66,000 more homeless people in Los Angeles
Mind
County.
if I ask you a
alone.
question?
Go ahead.
So I have like a lot of reasons I'd like to bring up here why I'd say that Trump doesn't care about the American people, but you referenced his economic policy, and we could reference that. So yeah, can you name like one economic policy that Donald Trump influenced to get passed that benefited the low and the middle class more than it benefited the top 1%?
Well, first of all, the Democrats pass all these policies.
Wait.
1% is America too. Say it. First of all, I'll have you know that these are some of the most productive Americans. Why do you hate business? Why do you hate thriving and prospering? That's the American dream, goddammit. The Trump Republican Party fixed the economy, put us on a pathway to success for all Americans until Kamala Harris, with her communist policies as the borders are, destroyed this country. You like to hate the 1%, but they are the people that run this country. They are the people that they are jobs creators, small business owners. Why do you hate businesses? I bet you want to burn down your local Target, don't you, goddamn libtard?
Just about Donald Trump, can you name one policy he influenced to get passed that benefits the low and the middle class more than it benefited the top 1%?
Yeah, he tried to, or during COVID, he tried to keep businesses open. I mean, Democrats were trying to close down all their states.
Can you name a policy?
Businesses that they put, no. They put a lot of businesses out of business during COVID. During the past years that COVID was in existence, all the states that were liberal, Democrat-run states, have controlled a lot of the process here in the state of California.
Okay.
Like, I'll give you an example.
You didn't answer my. I'm so sorry.
In the state of California,
Gavin
Newsom shut down the state. Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, state of California during COVID had an $80 billion budget deficit.
Did not shut down his state. Yet you have businesses here that were small that went out of business. Yet you have the state of Florida, the majority of businesses stayed in business, did not go out of business. The only businesses that went out of business, that stayed in business, were corporations like McDonald's, Burger King, and Walmart.
Okay,
so,
sir, with all due respect, you literally didn't answer my question.
The Democrats were benefiting those businesses because they were voting in favor of them.
Okay, with all due respect, you literally didn't answer my question. I asked you to name a policy that Trump influenced to get passed that
But
benefited.
yet you're the one that called me racist earlier, so I'm supposed to answer you?
Okay, well, I mean, if you don't want to have
Yes, that's the whole point of this process.
a productive dialogue with me here, I don't see what your point of even showing up to the episode would be.
Well, productive is not calling someone racist either, right?
Cool. Howdy.
Hello.
Hi.
George.
So maybe we could go about it this way. Can I give you my reasons why I'd say that he doesn't care about the American people and get your thoughts?
Let me, if you don't mind, let me start.
Okay.
Is honestly, the question's dumb. The statement's dumb, because it's one-sided,
I gotta pee.
and it's an opinion on what we think he believes or he feels.
So this prompt says Donald Trump doesn't care about the American people. I would like to give you my
Now,
reason.
well, I'll actually answer the other thing you mentioned, a policy that Donald Trump pushed for that benefited low and middle income people.
More than it benefited the top 1%.
His tax policies. And I know this for a fact because I'm middle to low income. And everyone I know that's middle to low income, actually, I don't know that many. Everyone makes more money than me.
Okay. Do you mind if I...
No. The
here?
only people I know of that complain about Trump's tax policies are those that make a reasonably high amount of money. There is nobody I know that makes over like 200 something K that doesn't complain about his tax policy. So I don't know what you make doing this. It's probably more than I make. I kind of wish I did what you do to a degree. But if you're making more than 200K,
Can I clap in here real quick?
then I'm sure you can complain, but I'm benefiting and I make less than you probably.
Okay, so first of all, you said that Trump's tax policy benefited the low and middle class more than it benefited rich people.
Mm-hmm.
That claim is false. 83% of the tax cuts in the bill went to the top 1%, went to people making over $400,000 a year, and it cost the American taxpayer $1.9 trillion through debt-related spending, and it only is going to lead to an average annual GDP increase of 0.02%. Please allow me to finish. Right? So it is the case that no, that didn't benefit the low and the middle class more so than the top 1%. It only is leading to a greater income inequity.
I don't believe you, and I don't agree with you, and I've
Okay,
seen
so that's
no
coming
data. I've seen no data to support that.
Okay, so that's coming from the Tax Policy Foundation. That's coming from, other economic sources that we would find online to be able to distribute how much it costs.
Oh, I don't believe you. Okay, then. Well, I guess we can't have a conversation.
So is it all right if I give you my reasons why I'd say he doesn't care about the American people?
In 10 seconds or less.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like in order to like have productive dialogue, right, have to be able to distinguish like why I believe the things that I say.
Okay. And then I'll
disagree.
let you know why I believe the things that I do.
Okay, so the reason I'd say that Donald Trump doesn't care about the American people is because he has incessantly placed himself above the American people. One of the best examples of this was in 2020 when he denied the outcome of the election and then he attempted to stage a coup against our government in an attempt to rig the outcome of the 2020 election by like sending fake certificates of ascertainment to Congress to be certified as real. That was the greatest internal attack on our government since the Civil War. Another example would be the border. He has consistently placed himself above the American people in that respect. He torpedoed.
Oh, dude, America deserves a million January 6s. Come on. Both in terms of like the entertainment and also in terms of just like overall distrust and anger towards the government.
Langford's bill in the Senate that would have specifically brought into the crisis 2 years ago.
Okay, you've got
because he didn't want to give the Democrats a win.
Let's slow
and then
down.
Another example.
Wait, no. Let's slow down because you just put out so much. And let's unpack that a little bit.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the first thing that you, one thing I would like to say, does Donald Trump care about the American people? Donald Trump went to East Palestine. Joe Biden waited 6 months. Donald Trump went to the military families of the soldiers that were killed at Abbey Gate. Joe Biden forgot their names.
What?
Donald Trump went and visited the people whose families were killed by migrants that were criminals. Joe Biden won't mention their names. Donald Trump let me, an average American citizen, go to his house 3 times.
Okay, do you...
What does that have to do with the prompt? Joe Biden won't let me into his house. Donald Trump did 3 times.
Do you mind like responding to my reasons why?
Okay, let's start with reason 1.
Cool.
Every election in history has had challenges, including Bush v. Gore. Okay. There have always been alternate electorals. I believe that January 6th helped Democrats well more than it ever did Republicans. You know why? Because it stopped the debate on the floor. And I, as a Republican, wanted to see that debate on the floor that day. I had problem with the elections. In 2022, my son's vote didn't arrive and I was a candidate.
Okay, I just want to clarify. So you do affirm that Trump sent fake slates of electors to 7 different states?
They were not fake. There's always alternate slates of electors in every single
That is not true. That is not
true. That is true.
That is not true.
That is true. I worked on the Ron Paul campaign.
Is it possible?
For like 5.
Is it possible that
this has happened all the time?
Okay, yeah. Could you give me another example of a sitting U.S. president not agreeing with the outcome of the 2020 election, then going to the DOJ? Trump told Bill Barr to announce widespread voter fraud when there wasn't any.
They didn't investigate it.
Yes, they did. Donald Trump did. George W. Bush did. Every single American president, every single Republican American president has investigated it. There have been numerous bipartisan committees looking into widespread voter fraud. The most comprehensive study ever conducted on voter fraud is from the Heritage Foundation, and it has shown that over 30 billion plus votes that have been casted over the course of the past 30 years, 3 decades, in every election and every midterm election, every general election, every midterm election, there is only 1,200 instances of voter fraud. 1,200. Not all of those guys are Democrats either, for the record, as a matter of fact. A lot of the high-profile voter fraud cases are actually from the Republicans themselves, many of Trump's own supporters. 3 billion, not 30, over the course of 30 years, okay? The point is, it's basically 0%. Okay, 1,200 out of 3 billion, not 1,200 out of 30 billion.
You know, every single case was
there were
every
63
single
court
case
cases
that were dismissed on standing
because they didn't have sufficient evidence.
No, because the judges said they never saw the evidence.
Okay, I'm going to go to tell you what happened with the 2020 election. So
okay,
Donald Trump
you're going to tell me what you think happened, but I'm going to tell you that you're wrong.
Okay, one moment, ma'am. Donald Trump formed an election integrity committee where he appointed his people and gave them millions of dollars.
What's happening
you mind
now?
if I finish?
No, I do mind because you know
ma'am,
what?
if you can allow me to finish, we can't have a productive conversation
Well,
here.
we can't have a productive productive conversations when you have an entire 20 minutes to filibuster the whole thing.
Okay, well, if you want to talk, go ahead, but you're not allowing me the time
Okay,
to
but
demonstrate why
you're-
I believe in what I do.
Okay, but you're not allowing me to say basic fact has happened in this instance. Every person that runs for election has the opportunity to challenge an electoral process. That is not illegal. What's happening now is you've got attorneys that were looking into the election fraud, which the Biden DOJ is now prosecuting, having their law licenses removed. We are watching communism in live action. And you know what? I want you to have a future.
Can you define communism?
Yeah, basically it's mob rule. It's Marxism. It's mob rule. It's
False. Literally all wrong. Communism is a stateless, classless, moneyless society.
okay.
Welcome in. Doing all right.
Trump's administration versus Biden's, objectively 2016 to 2020, and then under Biden so far up to date. Objectively, the economy was better under Trump. Inflation was as high as, I believe, 9% under Biden. It's destroying the middle class, and then it's also putting people in more poverty. So how does that make Trump not be in support of American people if it's breaking down the middle class, putting people in more poverty?
Yeah.
So things in the grocery store are 4 times higher to pay for. People are having harder time to put food on the table for their families.
Yeah.
During the Biden administration versus Trump. So I want you to
Yeah, of
kinda
course.
explain.
Well, let's start off here. Do you think that the Biden-Harris administration caused inflation?
Yeah, because under Trump's administration and the policies he induced, inflation was never that high.
Okay,
And then after
so-
COVID hit and Biden's administration took over, everything skyrocketed. Gas
Okay.
prices, grocery stores,
So
everything.
your argument here is because it happened in the country while they were president, they caused it. So my question to you is, did Donald Trump cause the highest rate of unemployment that we've had since the Great Depression in August of 2020 at 14.8% simply because it happened under his administration?
No, simply because people couldn't leave their home.
And now we're introducing external variables. So in the same way COVID caused, right, that high rate of unemployment that we had under Trump's term, COVID also caused the global inflation that we saw onset at the beginning of the Biden-Harris administration. This didn't happen locally in the U.S. This inflation happened all around the globe. But a fun fact here, the Biden-Harris administration actually ushered in the quickest response from the inflation onset by the pandemic out of any other country in the G7.
I had another point, which was that.
Appreciate you for coming up, man.
What I've noticed, because I work in retail for some seasons and I've seen a huge bloodshed of Colombians coming in. Okay, we just got to be really realistic here about the economy. So yes, I think that kind of blaming causation and kind of correlating that to the current president, it's a little bit of a slippery slope. However, I think that when you look at the border and the way that everything has been coming in with migration, of course that the economy became better. Why? Because a lot of Colombians came in, right? And they started working and they started inputting more taxes. All these fake socials that they get, they start contributing to the tax money. They pay more taxes every year, and the government basically hides this by grabbing an app, and they basically use that as an ankle bracelet replacement so that people don't find out. An ankle bracelet on people's ankles, they hide the fact that they're allowing all these illegal immigrants come in. So the economy has become such a success, per your statement that it's been a success in the last 4 years, because all these immigrants have been contributing to the tax dollars that the government has been wanting.
Wait.
And so hence Medi-Cal.
So you'd
for
agree
all
that
these
immigration is good for the economy?
The immigration issue is they're being paid less money than the average salary. So I don't understand how that's good for the American people. I think that if you can properly execute someone immigrating into this country.
Oh, the issue I had with it was he talked about the only issue I had, which is coming up now, was when he said like these migrants are coming in and they're illegal immigrants, and they're not. Like, you openly demonstrated it when they're on the app and when they have TPS status, like, they're not illegal. They are legal, documented migrants that are legally working on U.S. soil. So I don't know. I think he's making an argument that he doesn't realize he's making, because he's correct on the issue. Wage deflation by using undocumented migrants is a real problem, but the solution to that problem isn't to do mass deportations. The solution to that problem is to document and process the undocumented migrants that are working on U.S. soil currently so they can contribute more to our tax revenue. And also beyond that, then they get paid more.
Legally and doing it rightfully and everything, like, yes, you can manage the amount of the way the economy is working.
Yeah, I'm definitely a little bit confused on what you just shared with me, but we have a problem, and that is undocumented migration, correct?
Yes.
This is another reason why I say Donald Trump doesn't care about the American people, because Donald Trump doesn't.
If he cared,
you mind if I finish?
Go ahead.
Because Donald Trump doesn't care about the southern border. I have a question for you.
Okay.
If your house was burning down and a fire truck showed up to put the fire out and you told them to turn around because you wanted the insurance money from letting it burn, did you care about your house?
Of course.
No. So the idea would be if you let the house burn down to get the insurance money, you wouldn't care about your house. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, right? So when we have a crisis at the southern border and we have the fire truck, or in this case, right, an amazing border bill that would have ended the crisis years ago, proposed to Congress by Langford, a Trump-endorsed Republican, and then Donald Trump turns around and calls up the Republicans in the House and the Senate and tells them to vote against the bill because he doesn't want to give the Democrats a win, and he wants the ability to be able to campaign on the crisis at the southern border now. Does Donald Trump care about the southern border?
So basically what you're doing is you're trying to attack and kind of deflate the right? But at the end of the day, we got to realize that no side is potentially perfect, because clearly the Democrats are going to see that the right are horrible and the right's going to see that the Democrats are also.
But do you mind answering the question there? Because I did make an important point there that I don't think should go unnoticed, right? In the same way in the hypothetical, if you let your house burn down and told the fire truck to turn away, you don't care about the house. And if Donald Trump lets the crisis at the southern border continue and tells like the Republicans in the House and the Senate to turn the border bill around in 2022, he doesn't care about the southern border.
Look, the border's always going to have a crisis. There's human trafficking constantly. If you look at the narcotics, if you look at all these drug dealers that are coming in, right?
Hi, thanks for coming up, man. What's your name?
Jordan.
Jordan, nice to meet you. Dean, we have 3 minutes and 42 seconds left on the clock here. I would like to bring up a huge reason why I'd say that he doesn't care about the American people. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Cool. It's because how much he lies. Donald Trump is an incessant, unapologetic liar. He lied to the American public over 30,000 times while he was president. He told the biggest lie that any sitting president has ever told with the denial of the 2020 election. And what is the Achilles tendon to a democracy? An uninformed voter base. Trump has misled his voter base, has made them misinformed, has made them engage in fringe conspiratorial hearsay by his incessant lies.
Okay. Can you give me any reasons why you think Joe Biden cares about American people more than Trump?
Okay, I mean, yeah, sure. First of all, Kamala Harris is running for president right now.
No, Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, sure. Yeah, because Joe Biden...
It's the Democratic...
Of course. Because Joe Biden passed 4 pieces of monumental legislation that benefited the low and the middle class more than it benefited the top 1%. We could talk about the PACT Act, investing $800 million into the expansion of VA healthcare benefits. We could talk about the CHIPS and Science Act, bringing 20% of the global chip production back to here at home in America by 2030. We could talk about the infrastructure bill, investing $1 trillion into local communities across the U.S., spurring their economies and creating new construction jobs. Or we could talk about the Inflation Reduction Act, investing millions of dollars into renewable energy resources to reduce inflation in the long term by addressing supply chain issues now. Those are 4 big policies that I would say demonstrate Biden's care for the American people.
Okay. 4 years ago under Trump, did you see benefits going towards immigrants and wars more than American people?
Did we see? No, and we don't see that now either.
Oh, we don't see it now?
No.
Bro, I moved here from Chicago, and 4 years under Trump, I wasn't seeing immigrants sleeping outside of police stations, gathered in gangs and doing drugs outside police stations, living in high-rise hotels, getting benefits.
Oh, if you're just there's more immigrants coming into our country now than there were
free money.
That's true.
But earlier, didn't you say it was the same?
Oh, no. I said it's the same right now. So after Biden's executive order on the border, we have the same amount of daily crossings today across our southern border as we had at the end of Trump's term.
At the end of Trump, it was more.
Yeah, it was the same or more at the end of Trump's term.
You literally just said we have more immigrants coming in now.
Okay, so Over the 4-year presidency of Biden and Harris, there has been more migration across the southern border because of the revocal of Title 42, causing a surge of entries into our country. After Biden's
That was
executive
not
order,
going on during Trump. Am I right?
yeah, right. So we had lower crossings under Trump, but I don't think we could
What
say
is
because
this
there's
guy
lower crossings under
saying?
Trump.
A surge of migrants coming into the country. Do you hear yourself? Jesus Christ, this is why I get so mad at the Democratic Party.
Than under Biden and Harris, that Biden and Harris caused that. Let me ask you a question, or more so make a statement. I'd look at the southern border like a river, and I'd look at Title 42, what was enacted at the end of Trump's term because of COVID, like a dam. As soon as that dam is lifted from the river, the water gushes through, just like when Title 42 was reversed and all these people that have been turned away for the last 2 years that are coming to our country because of economic disparities onset by COVID in their own, rushed into our country.
Okay.
Sorry, I just had to very quickly. The one thing that I look at that shows how he cares for the American people is that he's a multi-billionaire that chose to run for president, and he's one of the only presidents that's net worth has actually gone down. If he didn't care for the American...
Yeah, because he's a shitty businessman, okay? L for Trump. I don't even think that's correct, but it doesn't matter, okay? Fuck it. Let's say it's correct. It's because he sucks at business. There you go.
people, why would he even go out of his way, lose his worth to run for president?
Great question. And here's what I'd say. I'd say that Donald Trump has billions of dollars, literally speaking. He doesn't care about money. He wants something else. He wants power, right? And being able to force himself into the highest position of ranking power in the world is a big deal. And that's what he wants. He doesn't really care about the American people, or else he would have enacted legislation for the low and the middle class, or else he would have not tried to over...
Kamala Harris would be a much better president than Donald Trump. Oh my God.
I don't believe that Kamala Harris would be a better president than President Trump. And the reason why I believe that is because Kamala Harris has had many chances. When she was a district attorney in San Francisco, she convicted more people of minor crimes than any other DA of San Francisco. And I know this too because I lived in San Francisco for a period of time, and I understand the criminal justice system to a certain extent. So Kamala Harris, if you have her as president, she's going to go after people for minor offenses. She's going to try to convict people for even marijuana, for an example. I mean, come on. Most people in this country have already been past this whole issue with cannabis and everything. And I think that's something that should be overlooked, and it should be something that should be legalized on a federal level as well. But I do believe that Kamala Harris, if she convicted people of small petty stuff like people having a minor amount of marijuana and had the highest conviction rate in San Francisco, how can you have someone like that as president? And she was also married into the Getty family. Jean Paul Getty is an elite family in the state of California. So how is it that you're gonna say, oh, Kamala Harris is better than President Trump?
Of course. First, let's respond to a couple of your claims there. How many people did she convict? Not a clue. 45. And what did she do in 2014?
45. You're saying she convicted only 45 people of possession of marijuana?
Yes. And what did she do?
That is not true.
VP Harris with San Francisco DA. Her office won convictions in 1,956 felony and misdemeanor marijuana cases, according to Bay Area News Group. 45 convicted were sentenced to state prison.
That is not true.
Yeah. So he's wrong, and Omar is right. Unfortunately, TikTok debate guy only saw another TikTok debate guy probably repeat this talking point.
That she convicted only 45 people of marijuana. If she was a district attorney and she had other DAs in the district attorney's office,
do you mind if I finish talking?
Prosecuting those small crimes.
Okay, sir. Do you mind if
she had more than 45 convictions in that office alone.
So yeah, she only had over.
You've had a lot of time to talk. I mean, you had the whole time. I really don't have a lot of time here. But so what I'm saying is,
I just want to be able to finish this point out.
Go ahead. You're saying 45 convictions, but you're not giving me facts.
Yeah. So while she was DA, it is a.
Just keep talking, big dog. Come on. Just say what you're going to say.
Hi.
Hi. So do you mind if I give you my reasons why I think that Harris would be a better president?
If you want.
Cool. So there's two main categorical reasons why I say Harris would be better than Trump. The first category is character.
This one is crazy because, like, demographically speaking, she is in, like, the extreme minority. In her age group, like, being a woman, being a young woman, she is, like, probably some of the few. Like, she is in the minority of her demographic in terms of being a Trump supporter. I suspect it is because she is kind of stupid. We'll see.
The second category is policy. Let's start off with character. First of all, Trump is a sexual abuser. Trump is a felon. Trump is a fraudster. Trump is an election denier. He's a dictator on day one and wannabe fascist. Okay. Kamala Harris is none of those. Kamala Harris wants to protect and preserve a democracy. She wants to fight for the freedoms of all Americans, especially the 170 million American women and girls. And then we could reference policy next. If you want to respond to character, go for it. If you want me to hop straight into policy, I could do that too.
Well, starting with character, I technically do not think she's a good person. Speaking of which, if we're bringing up stuff from the past, we can say she slept with Willie Brown, broke up a family just to get her job.
What?
And while she was there, she used a firm that was putting people in jail that had false positives on drug tests. And she knew they had false positives. She admitted to that. And she was still putting mainly black and brown people in jail. Considering I'm both, that is very much...
Wait, what is going... Wait, what? Considering I'm both? What? Both of what? What is going on? Wait, she's both black and brown and also like a younger woman. Okay, she's in the hyper minor, like, I think by judging by simple demographics, the person that is least likely to vote for Donald Trump over Kamala Harris is literally a black woman under the age of 30. Okay, there's like 8 probably in the entire country that will be voting for Donald Trump. Like, just straight up. Judging by simple demographic data alone, she is one of like the 10. If she is actually black, I don't know. She just said it. I'm just taking her word on this, but this is like a Ryan Ruth style situation.
A big issue for me, and also that a woman shouldn't represent. They should just sleep to the top for their job. They should actually work hard for it. I generally don't think that she's a good representative. There's plenty of other women out there.
Yeah, I have a question. How many votes did she get in her run for AG? Do you know? Now, how many votes did she get in her run?
We're talking about character, though.
Of course,
That's
we'll
character
talk about
and morals. And if we're mentioning character and morals here, she's clearly not a good person.
Okay, I'm responding
and
to your
just
claim.
like you had mentioned all that stuff about Trump, which could be true.
I'm
She's
referencing your claim that she.
Family.
I'm referencing
record.
your claim that she slept to the top. How many votes did she get when she was running for AG and DA in the state of California?
But that has nothing to do with the fact.
It does. She got 4.5 million votes in total. 80 million for her run for AG or DA. I don't remember which one. And then 4.4 million for the other one. I have a question. How many of those 4.5 million people that voted for her did she have to sleep with?
Well, to say that she needed the votes of most people that matter, which is the person she slept with, could actually overturn and hide these votes just like they did with the election. But
listen, the idea that women have to sleep with men to get into positions
and that's
of power
exactly what she
is
did.
a misogynistic lie. One moment.
She's saying that
do you mind if I finish talking real quick?
We have to open our legs to get jobs. That's exactly how she used it.
Do you mind if I just finish talking real quick? Also, I would like to finish out this conversation. There's a lot of red flags up, though. So saying that women have to sleep with men to get into positions of power is a misogynistic lie. What you are doing...
Say that. She just...
Mansplaining. Yo, she should hit him with the mansplaining. Okay, fuck it. The conservatives are really bad at debating. I got to put this hat back on. Okay? I'm sorry. I will not be spoken down to by a man. As a 1/8 black woman and 1/8 Sicilian, which makes me basically half black, I think it's really racist and really sexist of you to be talking down to me about what women can and can't do. Let me tell you something. I think women like Kamala Harris give women like me a bad name by sleeping their way to the top, by having sex with 4 million Americans in the state of California in an effort to win that vote, by having sex with all 4 million of them. I think personally, women like me that have to work really hard at our jobs also get hit with that same that same reasoning when we actually arrive at our position by prowess.
One moment.
That's what she represents.
What you are doing is you're taking Kamala Harris, you are taking her character, you are taking her proposed policy, taking her intelligence, and you're taking her wisdom, and you're throwing it out of the window. Because when you say that the only reason she's in her position of power today is because she slept with a man that had been legally divorced for 3 years is a lie. She got 4.5 million votes to get into AG and DA and slept with 0 of them. The question I have for you
you don't
is
know
how
that,
you feel about Donald
Trump. Do you know that? No.
Okay,
Absolutely
so
not.
you think that she slept with 4.5 million people to
I'm
get in
sure
her
she
position
could
of power?
have, but the one
Wait,
person that
are
she
you
did
serious?
was the most important person.
Did you just say that she had to sleep with 4.5 million
No,
people?
I didn't say that. I said that she slept with one of the most relevant people to get her job,
What was his
to
name?
get in. Willie Brown.
And how
I
did
just
sleeping
said that.
with Willie Brown get her the 4.5 million votes in her run for AG
Because
and DA?
he was in the same position she needed to get.
But we have civil and electoral processes. We are a constitutional
honor
republic
this?
with democratic processes. Yes, I do. And you're saying that she somehow circumvented these civil and electoral processes?
I don't hate women, guys. Just letting you know.
What is it?
Uh-oh.
Welcome down. I would really like to see if we could have a productive conversation about this point.
Well, I just want to start off by saying that you seem to attack Trump for his character, but then when Kamala is attacked for her character, it doesn't matter.
So why do you think that Kamala Harris is a bad person?
For reasons that have been stated.
Can you repeat them?
She's slept with people to get up to her ranking. She hasn't really done all too much as vice president, in my opinion.
I would like to say that is false. She's passed more tie-breaking votes in the Senate than any VP in American history. She's also helped the Biden-Harris administration influence some of the most monumental legislation in modern U.S. history.
Right.
I'm going to name 4 pieces of legislation that the Biden-Harris administration influenced to get passed that benefited the low and the middle class more than rich people. And I want to see if you could do the same for Donald Trump while he was president. They influenced the PACT Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, the American Rescue Plan, the Infrastructure Bill, Inflation Reduction Act. If you'd like, I could explain to you how those benefited the low and the middle class more so than the top 1%, but now I'll just simply ask you that same question. Can you name one bill that Trump influenced to get passed that benefited the low and middle class more so than rich people?
I really can't.
So then how could you say that Kamala Harris hasn't done anything when you know so little about what Trump did while he was
Because
president?
comparatively to what Trump has done in the past, she really hasn't done that much.
I just told you 4 pieces of monumental
You told me
legislation that
that-
she did influence
yeah.
to get passed that were beneficial.
Beneficial, but not quite to what Trump did.
Well, you can't even tell me what Trump did. I asked you. You can
I know,
tell
but
me.
you can just tell from when he was president that it was way better. And
Oh my God, Republicans are so stupid, dude. Oh my God.
Kamala's been hiding and probably puppeteering Biden. You can't deny that.
Do you see how that's just a conspiracy theory?
I know it's a conspiracy, but the evidence is kind of there.
Okay, so what's the evidence for this idea that Biden hasn't done anything for America?
Sorry. Okay.
That was smooth. You just kind of slid
Thank
into
you,
the scene. That
thank
was
you.
good.
I think a lot of what we're hearing from you right now is just what I call book smart. You probably are more knowledgeable than a lot of us on these policies and all that. That's not necessarily applicable to real life living.
Bro, they're doing so bad, I've actively started defending them. They're doing so horrifyingly bad that, it's frustrating me. What a fantastic way to start your argument, man, by being like, you're pretty smart. I'm fucking stupid. I don't know a single damn thing I'm talking about. And let me tell you, I'm still going to tell you stuff.
In my opinion, one of the most important roles as a president is to keep our country safe. Kamala Harris, she's the border czar, and she has completely failed at that. She's let in millions and millions of immigrants. And you've been asking us a lot of pointers, so I want to ask you, do you know what the average amount of fentanyl per pound that has come through during Biden's administration versus the Trump administration?
No, I'd assume that it's much higher under the Biden-Harris
It is.
administration. Do you know what amount of drugs processed across the southern border are processed by U.S. citizens?
But I'm talking about illegals right now. So I asked you a question.
Oh my God, dude. Can't have a conversation with this human. He's barely sentient, dude.
So during Trump's administration, there was on average about 2,500 pounds of fentanyl that came across the border.
Okay.
In my opinion, that's 2,500 pounds too much.
Yeah.
During the
Okay, well, chill. Maybe like a couple pounds,
Biden and Harris administration, it's exceeding 14,000 pounds.
What's funny about this is that he just saw that one talking point existing in space and thought, oh, I'll use this to own my dumbass coworkers who are just as stupid as I am.
Per year. Where do you think that's going? That's going to our youth, that's going to high schoolers, college students, that's going to adults. These innocent people are dying because of what is happening. And if you look at her, I think it was just this past month, they just admitted that they have lost over 300,000 legal children. Where do you think these children are going? They're trafficked. And I'm extremely passionate about human trafficking. I think it's one of the most important focuses that we need to have right now. And in my opinion, again, and in my experience within human trafficking, the conservatives are the ones pushing this. Kamala is ignoring it, not the one going to visit the border. She went and visited the border. She went to the only part of the border that is safe, that they're not coming through. And she said, we don't have a problem here. Nobody's coming through. That's BS. She's lying, and you say Trump's lie. I hate all kinds of lies. But when you can say Trump's an avid liar, you got to look at how Kamala's lying. During her speech at the DNC last week, she was saying that those individuals at January 6th were armed individuals with an intention of shooting people in the Capitol. That is not true. So I can admit where Trump has lied in the past. Everybody lies. That's not good. But you also need to have the balls to admit where Kamala has lied, where Biden has lied, where their administration has lied.
Yeah, so first of all, I think that it is important to hold all politicians, everybody in a position of power accountable. I'm not going to sit here and say that Biden has never lied a day in his life. I'm not going to sit here and say that Harris has never lied a day in his life. I, can't confirm that Harris said that at the DNC or said that at the southern border.
It was filmed,
but if she did say those things, yes, those would be lies. Now, you want to talk about this.
Wouldn't that be a question of her character then?
Yeah, of course. But what I'm voting for here isn't going to be the candidate that doesn't lie at all. It's going to be the candidate that would lie less within this respect, and no one lies more than Donald Trump.
So
now,
why
back
do
to
you
our conversation.
Why do you believe that character affects somebody's, impact as a leader?
Yeah, sure, because I think when we're voting for someone, when we have a leader, right, this isn't just someone who's going to try to impact our lives in good ways through policy, but it's also someone that we'd want to be ourselves. We are championing these two people, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. We want to see virtues reflected in them that we would also like reflected in us. And when we're platforming Donald Trump, who's been held civilly liable for sexual abuse, has sexualized a fifth grader on CBS in 1992, has cheated on 3 of his wives, 1 with a porn star, and was convicted of 34 felonies, and tried to stage a coup to overthrow our government, we don't see those good virtues reflected. You said you wanted to talk about the border. Do you mind if I ask you a question about that?
Go for it.
Phenomenal. So Biden and Harris, they attempted to influence bipartisan border legislation in 2023. It was Lankford's bill, who was a Republican that was also Trump endorsed. This was a good border act. It would have phenomenally reduced the impact of the crisis. It
got 7.8 million views.
Would have reduced crossings. It would have made the asylum-seeking processes quicker.
6 days.
It was a good bill. But what happened was Trump called the Republicans in the House and the Senate and told them to vote against it. How can you say that Donald Trump cares about the southern border when he told Republicans in Congress to vote against this bill so the crisis would continue, and he could campaign on that today to convince people like you to vote for him?
Real quick, everybody. So, during Trump's administration, in exchange for $25 million to build a border wall that would protect our country, he had an act that he wanted to pass that would allow illegal immigrant children that have graduated throughout high school to be accepted through citizenship.
Do you mind answering my question?
No, because you're just asking education policy questions. This isn't impacting America. So compare to your education throughout high school to be accepted through citizenship.
Do you mind answering my question?
No, because you're just asking education policy questions. This isn't impacting America. So compare to your
how else do presidents impact America apart from policy and executive
orders? So Trump wanted to pass this law that would give these graduating illegal immigrants citizenship. Guess who shut it down? The Biden and Harris administration.
How?
They voted against it.
The Biden and Harris administration?
Yes.
Bro in the red did a suck-ass job, dude.
Hello.
Howdy, welcome back.
Well, okay, so you keep bringing up the border and you keep bringing up the Senate bill.
Lankford's bill, absolutely.
The Senate bill never passed.
You want to know why?
What did pass was H.R. 2, which again has been sitting on Schumer's desk, which actually closed the border. Talking to Brandon Judd, president of Border Patrol, what I can tell you is the Senate bill was better than what it is now with 14,000 people coming through.
Guys, you're saying same 3 people, but what you're failing to recognize is she's met with Trump 3 times at his house. How many times have you gone to Trump's house? That's right. I didn't think so. Okay.
Through the border every day, and 300,000 migrant children missing, feared, sold into sex slavery. Now, HR 2 did close the border, and that is the one that actually passed the House that Schumer has ignored. So I'm really sick of hearing, oh, Trump stopped the Senate bill. The Senate bill didn't pass.
You know why?
Because it was a bad bill. It codified the invasion.
Okay, so first of all, no, it was not a bad bill. And second of all, the reason it didn't pass is because Trump called the Republicans in Congress and told them not to pass
It was a bad bill.
it. Right?
Well,
we see
Congress
what's like. Do you
doesn't
mind if
vote
I?
on
Do you mind?
Senate
Do you mind? Do you mind if
Congress
I?
doesn't
do you mind
vote
if I
on
finish
Senate
without
bills.
interruption?
Congress does not vote on Senate bills.
Yes, we would see that Senate. Like if a bill is made in the Senate, it'd go to the House, back to the Senate.
Exactly, and it never made it out of the Senate, so therefore it's
It went
mute
to the
and
House.
void.
It went to the House, right? And
No, it never made it out of the Senate. I talked to Senator Mike Lee about that. It never got out of the Senate because it was a bad bill. However,
Do you mind if I finish
HR2
here, though? I just want to make
HR 2 did
Ma'am,
get
ma'am,
out
do you
of
mind if I finish about that?
HR 2 did get out of the House.
Man, with all due respect,
With
I
all
don't
due
like the
respect, you don't want to hear about HR 2
I would
that
love to hear-
actually secured the election,
I would
the
love
border.
to. I would love to hear about HR 2. However, I would also like to finish what I was saying about.
Well,
Lincoln's
everybody's
border bill
heard for
without
the
interrupting.
last 19 minutes what you had to say
Okay.
about this. Okay, I got a minute. As far as Kamala Harris being better than Trump, she's destroyed the border. She's been absent. Nobody knows where she is. 6 months ago, even the media was saying she was the worst vice president in history. As far
How
as
has she destroyed the border?
she hasn't done anything about it. They have walked away. She hasn't gone there. She hasn't talked to Border Patrol. She hasn't met with Border
Okay, well, I'm confused because the
And
last
so-
person.
It's so funny. They're just like, this is. If you're wondering why Donald Trump goes and like talks to the Border Patrol, it's because that's the median voter. Okay, that's the Trump voter. They're like, oh, he went to the border and talked to the Border Patrol. Like, he's doing his job. Like, that's why these guys do all the optics shit.
That came up said that she had gone there. Now you're saying that she has.
an hour from San Antonio after she met with Lester Holt, and Lester Holt said, you haven't been to the border? She goes, I haven't been to Europe either.
So that was in September of
So,
2021.
you know, that's who we're talking about.
So that
Now,
was in June of
secondly,
2021. She went
so
in
Kamala
July of
Harris-
2021.
so
I
Kamala
would like to
Harris-
preface here
No.
that the Biden administration has passed an executive order on the border, and we're
Because
now
it's
at
an
lower daily
election
crossings
year.
today
Because
than
it's
we
an
were at the end
election
of Trump's
year.
term. And
That's
no,
the
it's not just
only
because
reason.
it's an
Yes,
election
it is.
term.
They do it
tried to
every
influence
election year.
Langford's bill through the Senate
It was
and through
a
the House.
bad
Then
bill.
Trump called them and told them to
It
shoot it
never
down.
left the
If you were
Senate.
starving,
It
and
never
someone-
left the
one second, ma'am.
Senate.
If you were
No, you 1 second.
someone-
we got
if
6
you were-
seconds. We're
okay.
not gonna. We're not gonna.
Okay,
get,
I feel like I can't get anywhere with you.
Well, I
because
feel
you
like I can't
aggressively
get
interrupted
anywhere with
me.
you because you.
So how do we find middle ground? We do that by
How
allowing
we
each other to speak without interruption. I'm
Damn, he said the title.
willing to do that for you. Are you willing to do that for me?
Super fun.
My next claim is conservatives don't actually care about family values.
Come on. This is a good one.
Yeah, well, I don't agree with that at all whatsoever. Us conservatives, main core issue is caring about family, keeping the family unit together.
You mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course, go ahead.
So then why do you turn around and champion Donald Trump, who's cheated on 3 of his wives, one with a porn star, and has ongoing civil litigation against him in which he was determined that he was guilty of sexual abuse?
And that's something that's very personal, and you have to have been there in order to know what exactly goes on. Marriages are
But he did. Like, what do you mean? What?
very tough. There's something that's very difficult. And again, it's
Yeah, Trump's marriages were difficult. That's why he did it 3 times. And also cheated on his wives. It was difficult for the wives, man.
we don't know what happened, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has failed marriages, but many people have failed marriages.
Okay. Do you mind if I ask you another question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so you said that you really care about the family unit.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't see how like any conservative or Trump supporter could say that they care about the family unit because of how hard y'all fight for pro-life legislation. So voting for pro-life legislation without good reason, what this leads to is the destruction of the family unit. You're shifting the American focus away from financially well-off adults that consent to start a family, that desire to have kids, to forcing 18, 19, 20-year-old boys and girls into starting a family because the state isn't allowing the woman the access to health care that she deserves. It leads to higher rates of poverty, it leads to lower rates of employment, lower rates of education, and lower qualities of life, all things considered. Another point would be, right, conservative stance on being anti-IVF, right? I think that IVF serves as a savior for family units that are wanted to be by many of American citizens.
Your first point of being for pro-life is that is a human
Yeah, I mean, this argument also has a really effective counter. He like took the worst possible position on being pro-life.
life. That is a child in and of itself. I always hear constantly the argument of if men were the ones having babies, then it would be a different situation. Maybe, but that's not the case. The case is that women are the ones that bear children, and that is a life unto itself, and therefore it is deserving of its own human rights and its own human life. And you brought up many points, which can you repeat for me so I can?
Yeah, of course. If you feel free to cut me off if I'm talking too fast, or if you want me to slow down.
Yeah, of course.
These points. I want to make sure that we could try to have.
Me too.
My other points were being anti-IVF. I think that IVF allows American citizens to start a family when they wouldn't otherwise be able to. Being anti-IVF prevents them from starting a family. Another point would be being anti-LGBTQ+, saying that you care about family values unless it's two men or unless it's two women, and then it's morally abominable. And then, the third point would be just championing Donald Trump, who's cheated on 3 of his wives, one with a porn star, has sexualized little girls, and has been held civilly liable for sexual abuse.
Sure. So on one hand, I kind of agree with you because I don't think that the average conservative cares about family enough, but I would say that conservatives care a lot more about the family unit.
Canadian spotted, opinion discarded. Sorry. Nope. Not going to do that today. Go back to your own country. Okay? Get the hell out of here with this shit. Yeah, back to Alberta with you.
Then liberals and then people on the left, especially, like it was brought up when it comes to the pro-life issue, when it comes to promoting the whole LGBT, like all of these things are generally anti-family, and liberals are also generally very individualistic, while conservatives have always been more on the side of conserving the family unit.
Okay, I would strongly disagree that liberals are going to be more individualistic. If we just look at Trump and the policy he passed while he was president, can you name one policy he influenced to get passed that benefited the low or the middle class more so than the top 1%?
I don't know when I'm speaking about individualistic on the terms of economics, say conservatives are more individualistic, as in we're not socialists, we're not wanting to redistribute wealth. Yes.
Socialist. Real quick, can you define socialism for me?
When I'm speaking about socialism, I'm talking about the redistribution of wealth and promoting the welfare system.
Okay, so socialism is just a mode of production, so it just has to do with the workers owning the means of production. The only reason I'm pointing this out is because
Dog, he doesn't understand a single word you just said. Okay, I'm sorry. If you think that thing in front of you registered a single thing that just came out of your fucking mouth, you are even more delusional than she is.
I feel like MAGA, Republicans, conservatives as a whole, have really misconstrued socialism, communism, etc. But one last question for you here. You said that promoting the LGBTQ+ community is anti-family. How so?
Because, for instance, conservatives and people on the right have more... Okay.
Sorry. Hello, sir. Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you too. You've been excited to come up here.
Yeah, no, this one. I think this one's interesting. So first, I also wanted to know why you think Democrats are better at supporting family values than conservatives.
Of course, great question. So first of all, we look at this from an economic perspective.
Sure.
I'd say caring for the low and the middle class, promoting social benefits. A good example would be the child tax credit. Kamala Harris wants to raise that to $6,000 for every newborn to a 1-year-old.
They're going to vote me out soon. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. I think what's really interesting, and I wanted you to bring it up, but I'm just going to bring it up again. You were talking about when to start a family. I think that's really interesting. I think the choice to start a family is when you have sex. Personally, and someone will probably be more informational than me about this, but I think that having sex is when you take that risk, if you want to call it that, take that risk of starting a family. It's your responsibility to become a parent, become a father or a mother. And I think, I forgot what it was. IVF, is that what you said?
IVF.
That helps. Is that help with abortion? Is that correct?
No, IVF.
Okay, I'm done. No, I can't do this anymore. This is idiotic. Okay, sorry. No, this guy said, does IVF help with abortion? No, I'm done.